Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Yana Johnson, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Nathan Robb. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. Please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which he remained true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record, which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Gunner Ernest August Knickel, Ernest Knickel was born on the 16th of December 1890 in Queensland. His parents, Johannes and Frederique Knickel, were German immigrants who married in Australia and raised a large family near Rockhampton. Ernest's father died when he was about 19 years old, and Ernest went on to work as a fencer and contractor in the district. Ernest Knickel enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force within weeks of the outbreak of war in 1914. However, he was discharged a few weeks later and did not successfully re-enlist until January 1916. Known to his military comrades as Dan, Knickel began training with the light horse. He was a remarkably tall man, standing 6 feet 10 inches tall, and was reported in his local newspapers as the tallest Queenslander to enlist, although they conceded that there was said to be a man at Broadmeadows, a Victorian, who can give Private Knickel an inch, but with this exception, Private Knickel is probably the tallest soldier in the Australian Army. Knickel left Australia with reinforcements to the 5th Light Horse Regiment in April 1916. He did not remain with the Light Horse long, transferring to the artillery shortly after his arrival to England in May 1916. He continued training on Salisbury Plain for some months. Before he could cross the Channel to France, Gunner Knickel fell ill and spent nearly a month in hospital in Bulford. Following his release, he joined the convalescent training company based in Bulford to complete his recovery. Knickel proved very popular in Bulford camp. A friend later explained, "He was a cook here, and if a man came in late, he would always get him a feed. I never heard a man say a bad word against him." On the 20th of July 1917, Knickel was again admitted to hospital, this time in nearby Tidworth, with jaundice. Sister Baker of the Tidworth Military Hospital later wrote to Knickel's parents to tell them what happened, writing, "So far as I can find out, he had had jaundice for about 10 days before coming in, and lately been getting much thinner. He walked in and only complained of some pain in his back and of generally feeling tired." 4 days later, Knickel died suddenly and unexpectedly of kidney failure. Sister Blake wrote, "He just got very sleepy and never roused. He was with us so short a time. He was only 4 days in hospital altogether. Nothing could have been done for him more than was done, unless he had recognised what was the matter weeks before." Gunner Ernest Knickel was buried in Bulford Church Cemetery with full military honours. The New Zealand band played, and nearly 80 Australians from the nearby camp attended. Captain Robinson, Australian chaplain stationed at Bulford, wrote to Knickel's family to say, "At the grave, after the beautiful service provided by our church, the firing party fired 3 volleys and then 3 buglers sounded the last post. Take comfort from this, knowing that he has done his duty, and look forward to a reunion on the other side of the grave." Ernest August Knickel was 28 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Gunner Ernest August Knickel, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
"They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. The going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them." lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they'll be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening.